Hello, beautiful light-filled souls. I have had an awesome week giving away copies of Angels in the OR. I had some advanced copies and I gave them to students and faculty and staff and people around town in Fort Worth. And my heart is blown wide open by the responses to people reading this book and letting me know what they think. So many people say that they've had a really heart opening after reading this book, that there is healing that they've experienced or that they've deepened their own healing journey after reading this book. And that touches my heart because there is nothing more than I want to bring healing into this world. So if you have not seen Brene Brown's video on vulnerability, I highly suggest that you watch it. I'm going to post that below this video. I show this video to my students and I want to talk about a few elements of it and then a little bit more about my journey. So we are hardwired for connection. And if there's something that I've learned in all these many years of teaching, it is that the connections that I've made with others have been the greatest joy of my life. And I've said that before, so I want to get more vulnerable and explain why. I look out at my students and I think that sometimes I am the missing piece that they need in their life. So maybe their parents were pretty awesome. Maybe they were pretty horrible, but whatever the case, they need a little bit more self-esteem, or they need a little more guidance or mentoring or coaching in some way or another just to help them along the way. And I chose not to have kids because of my childhood, actually. It was pretty painful and pretty difficult. And I think if you have experienced an abusive mother and a neglectful father, it is hard to feel like bringing kids into this world. Not everyone feels like me, but that was my journey. And the good that I did was, to me, the most important thing that I could do. So in my near-death experience, I experienced that love of God. And that love of God was so profound and so much different from anything I'd ever experienced. I'd only known pieces of that love. I'd only known pieces of it through loving a pet or a few moments with my parents that were nice. But for the most part, if I mean to diagnose my mother, but if I had to, I would say that she has borderline personality disorder or something along those lines. But most of my childhood, I felt that I tried very hard to please her, that I was exhausted trying to please my mother. And even though she proclaimed to sacrifice a lot for me, everything was about her emotional well-being and nothing was about my emotional well-being. So I did not feel taken care of emotionally in any way at any time in my life. And then my material needs were largely neglected by my father. So basically, I felt as if no one cared about me. And so when I went to that love of God, for the first time, I felt such powerful love and I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, this is what love is meant to feel like. And it hit me later when I came back to my body and I was healing. I thought, wow, I'm going to encounter students who were like me, who'd only known abusive parents or neglectful parents or parents who only did a so-so job. And they don't even have a glimpse of what that love is. So I've got to try to show them. I've got to try to help their self-esteem in some way. I've got to tell them that they're worthy of great jobs, great relationships, great experiences, and that worthiness is everything. And if you watch the Brene Brown video, then you will know that all of her research comes down to this one key concept, and that if people feel that they are worthy of love, they can accept it more wholly and more open-heartedly, and that they can do it with some vulnerability. But being open to that love is key. And so, how do I transmit that to people? I think a lot of near-death experiencers who've reached that point near God, that loving, amazing point where we feel that energy of God and we know how healing and powerful it is. We want to come back and transmit it through our words, through our writing, through our teachings, through connecting with other people. And we wish that there was a way to just bring it back and just like zap it into everyone. Because if we could, even for 5 seconds, I don't think that there would be anyone who had any doubt at all, that all doubt would be erased. We would all just breathe a collective sigh and go, oh my God, I'm loved. Because that's immediately what I felt in the presence of God. It was just as if I took this huge sigh and my soul was just like, oh, finally, this is what I've been waiting for. So through my life, I have tended to go back to that moment in the near death experience when I needed to heal something. That love is the greatest healer, and the unconditional love of God is truly the greatest healer. So, if you have any wound that you're working through, I always say bring more and more and more of that unconditional love into your life. So, whatever it is, whatever you need to walk through in order to become healthier, whether that's walking through the pain of overcoming an addiction, whether that is the loss of a loved one, whether that is the loss of a dream, there is always the love of God that can transform any situation and make you feel so much better, so much more whole, so much more loved, and so much more at peace. And I struggle with the words, and I've watched other near death experiencers do the same. But this is the missing piece from Brene Brown's research, is that yes, you have to be open to love and you have to feel worthy of it in order to accept connection. But if you meditate on that love of God, then you can walk through your day so connected to a source that is unlimited in love. So you can be this flow of love that helps so many people around you in different ways. And I know that my calling has been to work with these students, and I consider myself, just as I said earlier, just this little piece that may fill in a gap that's missing in their life. Maybe they need a little bit of self-confidence. Maybe they need knowledge in some area that they never considered before. Maybe they just need to feel talented and secure in some way. But whatever it is, I know that we don't find everything that we need in one class, one person, one experience, but certainly we can be that flow of God and that flow of love into the lives of others. So no matter where you work, what you do, you can be that channel of love. And that is your ultimate goal in this world, is to spread love and to spread light. And I know this from the near-death experience, and I know so many of you know it as well, but thank you for listening to me get a little bit more vulnerable about my past, which I write very openly about in the book. And it's going to be out there April 16th. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm loving the responses so far, but thank you so much for following me. And I hope to have more interviews. This has been a very busy semester with grading and other activities, but thank you for your support. And I cannot wait to connect with you more and show you more videos. I have a lot in the work with the University of Heaven and the second annual near-death experience. I have summit. I've interviewed lots of people for this, and there's lots of amazing interviews that will be waiting for you if you join that summit. So thank you so much for listening, and may you be blessed.